The story starts on a roof where three friends tell our hero that if he jumps from the roof they won't hurt him anymore. The hero looks down and realizes that it's very high and he might get hurt, but one of the hooligans tells our hero not to be afraid, as it's only the third floor, telling him if he doesn't jump, he will kill our guy with his own hands. Our guy asks if what he said is true, and then he slips and falls down from the third floor of the building. Meanwhile, the bully films the fall on his phone. The hero ends up on the ground in a pool of his own blood, and then he hears someone call an ambulance. Doctors do everything possible to save the life of our hero, and after the operation one of the doctors tells the mother of our hero that her son is not in danger, but because of the many fractures, he fell into a coma and now it is not known when he will come to consciousness. A tear runs down the hero's cheek and he hears a voice that tells him to accept it, let it in, and this voice will do whatever our hero wants. Our guy wakes up in a cold sweat and does not understand where he is, but soon realizes that he survived the incident. After a while, when the hero calmed down, he heard some noise. He began to ask if there was someone there, but there was no answer to his questions, so he decides to stand up on his own, but falls down as his legs were paralyzed. The hero in a panic thinks to himself that all this was true, that he was paralyzed, and then begins to scream, asking for help, and he doesn't understand why it's so quiet, because it's a hospital and there must be a lot of people here. Then the hero notices the drip stand and decides to get up and find out what is going on outside and realizes that his legs are not paralyzed after all. He walks out of the room and doesn't see any of the people. Moving further along the corridor, he notices a girl, so he immediately starts talking to her, but when the girl turns around, our guy sees her bloody hands and then her bloody and scary face. This scares the hero and he decides to run away as soon as possible, as he realizes that there is something wrong with this girl. He runs into another room, closes the door, and this girl starts to leave. The hero wonders what it is, because everything was normal, and then there was another girl behind him, who also pounces on him like that, but luckily for our hero, she couldn't get him, as something was interfering with her movement. Then the hero notices the phone and decides to call the police. He stretches out his hand trying not to hurt this girl, but this girl almost reaches our guy, almost breaking the sticks that held her. So the hero decides to leave this place as soon as possible. Walking down the corridor, he looks out the window and sees that on the streets of the city something terrible happened, and on the phone came a message that in the city there are mutant people who kill people and now all the survivors need to hide in the nearest shelter. The hero is frightened by the sound of the phone, so he throws it on the floor, but then he remembers that he needs to call the police. He dials the number of the police, but nobody picks up the phone for a long time, and then he hears some noise in the street. He looks out the window and sees a man who runs to the hospital. Our guy yells to this man, and this man has already run to the hospital and tries to open the door, but he can't do anything. The hero comes to the door and the man yells to him to open the door, because these things are already near. The man looks back and sees the scary faces of these people, so he begs our hero to help him. But these mutants were already near, so the man decides to try to escape from them, and the hero decides to help this man by removing all the chairs that block the way to the door. But at that very moment, one of the mutants grabs the man by his shirt and rolls him on the ground, after which all the other mutants also pile on him with their whole body and begin to devour him. Our guy goes out on the street and sees that there is something going on. He comes closer and his eyes start to become black, and everything around began to blur, and the hero saw the same guys who once bullied him. The hero sees one of the bullies beating up a guy, and then the bully tells our guy Kim Jun-ho to come over to him, because if our hero doesn't do the right thing, he will be beaten up like his friend. Jun-ho apologizes to his friend Jun-hyuk, because he had no other choice. But Jun-hyuk tells our guy that he hates him, because it happened because of him, saying that Jun-ho betrayed him. These bullies tell Jun-ho that he's probably glad it didn't happen to him, because Jun-ho was able to live his remaining school years in peace, and then they call him a pathetic selfish bastard, saying that it was our hero who killed his friend Lee Jun-hyuk. But our guy gets furious and yells that it's not his fault, then picks up a brick from the ground and starts hitting one of the guys brutally, causing blood everywhere, and the two remaining bullies say that Jun-ho is the killer, but our hero immediately hits them on their heads with the brick, saying that it's not his fault. We go back to the present and it looks like our guy had some kind of memory that merged with reality. Jun-ho looks at the dead bodies of these guys, and then starts screaming with rage. The scene changes and we see a masked man carrying a girl who is currently running away from the mutants. One of the men shouts to the survivors that they ran to him. Once inside, We see a guy in a blue hat looking out the window, and he is not happy that the street is full of these mutants. He goes on to say that because they went to look for food, now they may not be able to return to the camp and will die of starvation. And this guy blames it all on this girl who was just outside. The girl says that there's no way she could have left the baby and run away. The guy in the hat says that they're in no position to save anyone right now. Because of this little brat, they're all stuck in this place and will probably die soon. And then he goes on to say, what if she's one of them? What do we do if her eyes turn black? The man who helped the girls earlier says that the guy in the hat named Young Hwan is right, because if this girl turns out to be a zombie, they won't have time to do anything. So this girl should be taken out of this place. But the girl says that they are all crazy, because she might turn out to be a normal person and it will be considered murder. A man interrupts the girl and asks if you will take responsibility if she suddenly turns out to be a zombie. The girl at first doesn't understand what the man is talking about, but says that if she suddenly turns out to be a zombie, she will take responsibility. But all of a sudden, the guy in the hat notices that something is happening to this girl, and she immediately pounces on him and then bites his neck. Janhwa starts screaming to be rescued, and the man grabs the zombie girl and throws her out of the window. As she fell, the other zombies looked up and immediately ran to the door of the building where these people were. A man asks a girl named Lee Soo-hyun about how she will fix this, because Young-hwa is bleeding badly and will probably die soon. Soo-hyun asks the man if we can save him, and the man says that she just talked about taking responsibility, asking her what's next. The survivors are panicking because the zombies are about to come in and kill everyone, and they wonder if they can kill them and get out of here. Soo-hyun grits her teeth and says she'll distract them so they can get out of here alive, saying to meet them at their place. And when the zombies open the doors, Soo-hyun starts distracting them and then starts running away. Meanwhile, the man says they'll head back to the camp right away, but the girl wonders why. After all, Soo-hyun asked to meet at the gathering place, but the man didn't respond to the girl's question. In another scene, Soo-hyun is hiding from the zombies who were running after her, sighing that everything is fine. But then she notices a lot of dead zombies around her, wondering who did it. Soon we see our hero, who turned into a zombie, and seeing this, Soo-hyun immediately gets up and runs away from our guy. But in her way she gets 3 zombies who also ran at her, and when Soo-hyun thought that this is the end, someone hits a zombie in the face from what he flies off and falls to the ground. Soo-hyun looks at the person and realizes that it was a zombie who for some reason hit someone like him. But that wasn't the end of it. As the 2 remaining zombies run towards them, Soo-hyun wonders why they are fighting each other, and she has never heard of such a thing. When our hero killed those 2 zombies, he began to head towards Soo-hyun, who looked at our hero trembling with fear. Coming closer, our hero, looking at this girl, said the name Jun-hyuk, and at the same moment, his eyes began to return to normal, and then our hero fell to the ground unconscious, to the great surprise of Soo-hyun. After a while, Jun-ho opens his eyes and notices that he is chained to a chair, and next to him is Soo-hyun, who starts to shine a light on him. Noticing that our hero's eyes are not black, Jun-ho asks her who she is, and Soo-hyun starts pointing a bat at Jun-ho, asking him who is he, zombie or human. She saw that our guy had black eyes. But how is it possible that they're like a normal person's now? Soo-hyun asks him who he is. Are you their leader? Are you some kind of special mutant? But Jun-ho is just nervous and doesn't understand. What black eyes are we talking about? Soo-hyun doesn't believe our guy and points his bat at him again. But Jun-ho says it's true. He really doesn't know anything and doesn't remember anything. All our hero remembers is that he woke up in a hospital, and when he looked out the window, he saw a city that was in ruins. In addition, there were some zombies walking around in the streets, saying that he would soon go crazy from all this. But Soo-hyun doesn't care where he woke up and what he saw. She just wants to know if he's a mutant or a human, and Jun-ho yells again that he doesn't understand what kind of mutants we're talking about. After saying that, Soo-hyun is sick of it, so she swings the bat at him, telling our guy not to lie. But suddenly, she sees Jun-ho start to cry. He says it's not fair. Just when he was thinking that everything is fine and that he managed to survive, he is suddenly attacked by a zombie girl or whatever they're called. The hero says that if he dies from being hit with a baseball bat, it would be even more absurd than dying by jumping off the 3rd floor, and all because he is an outcast. These words made Soo-hyun stop and remember her childhood when some man told her that she was an outcast. Then she asks our hero, "Do you remember how you killed those zombies?" But the hero still doesn't understand what zombies are we talking about. All he remembers is how he came out of the hospital, and then nothing. And those words clearly didn't make Soo-hyun happy, so she pulls her knife on him. But just to cut the duct tape, she tells Jun-ho that she's not doing this because she trusts him. Then Jun-ho asks Soo-hyun what happened here and who are these zombies and why the whole city is in ruins. Soo-hyun says that all this happened because of the black smoke. If you breathe it in, you will go crazy and turn into a zombie. But where did this smoke come from and why people started going crazy? She doesn't know. Then Soo-hyun starts to leave, telling Jun-ho good luck and not to die. But our hero asks her to take him with her. But Soo-hyun says no, because her life is not sugar either. So she's not going to hang around with Jun-ho. Especially she doesn't even know what he is. So she tells our guy that now he's on his own, and that he should say thank you for unleashing him. After a while, we see Soo-hyun and also hear Jun-ho asking her to wait, and Soo-hyun is not happy about it, because she told him that he didn't follow her. And then they hear some scream that asks for help. Soo-hyun goes to that scream, and when she runs up, she sees that a zombie has already gotten to that woman. She hits the zombie with a bat, but it doesn't hurt the zombie, so she hits the zombie again with a more powerful blow, which kills it. And while Soo-hyun was looking at the zombie's body, someone behind our girl hits Soo-hyun's head with a brick, causing her to fall with a bloody head. The one who hit her head was smiling for some reason, and the whole scene was seen by our hero, who was horrified when he saw the woman's creepy face. The scene changes and we see Jun-ho watching a woman dragging Soo-hyun somewhere in the yard. The character walks up to the house and wonders what to do next, because he clearly saw her being attacked and now he can't pretend he didn't see it and move on. Jun-ho realizes that with this girl it will be easier for him to survive. So having no choice, he decides to climb over the fence. After Jun-ho climbed over the fence, he saw the girl lying on the couch in the window, and also that strange and creepy woman who hit Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun starts to come to her senses and that woman asks if she's okay. And this is her house and she's perfectly safe here. So she suggests Soo-hyun to lie down here. Soo-hyun asks the woman what happened, and the woman replies that she heard a cry for help and when she came running, she saw her, so she brought her to her house, the woman says. Soo-hyun gets up and thanks the woman for her help, but the woman immediately asks Soo-hyun about her age and if she has a boyfriend. This question surprises Soo-hyun a bit, but the woman still asks strange questions, asking what size clothes she has. Do you have a place to live? You don't have any illnesses? What a nice face. It would be nice if a girl like you became my daughter-in-law, says this crazy woman, and this is even more surprised, but at the same time scares Soo-hyun. Then the woman apologizes for such questions and offers just to eat, as she is apparently very hungry. Soo-hyun says that everything is fine and I do not want to eat, but as suddenly, the woman's face changes and this terrible woman asks, "You dare to contradict me? I am older than you." And from these words, Soo-hyun is frightened even more, so just agrees to drink water, and meanwhile the woman's scarily watching the girl. The mug falls down and Soo-hyun asks the woman, "What is the taste of this water? It is strange." But the woman says not to worry, you just get a good night's sleep and when you wake up, it will all be over. And this whole scene is seen by the hero, who thinks that this woman is crazy and she must have put sleeping pills in the water to make the girl fall asleep, so he has to help her, because something bad might happen. But in his condition it will be difficult to do so, because even if they escape, this woman may attack them and they will have to fight. But Jun-ho still gets up and goes to help the girl, because if he continues to think like this, nothing will work. Jun-ho slowly opens the window and breaks into the house, falling on the floor, and this attracts the attention of this woman. But when she went in to check, she saw nothing. Luckily, our hero managed to get into another room in time, where he saw a man who was bound with chains. And when he looked at him more closely, he saw a zombie in chains. And then Jun-ho notices pictures of women who were killed by this asshole. And these pictures were very many and all of them were different. And then Jun-ho realized that all these women were kidnapped by that woman, so that her son ate them. But still he doesn't understand why there are so many of these pictures.